For as long as I've been teaching music, from time to time, I would meet a new student and discover they struggled with something very basic. Even if they could read the notes, even if their technique was solid, and even if they understood what they were playing, for some reason, they simply could not keep a steady beat. They would drift, speed up, slow down, and it became especially clear to them when they tried to play with a metronome. That's when the drifting really showed. Sometimes they'd say they couldn't quite hear it properly, but I knew that wasn't really the problem, and I needed to understand why. Why do some people connect with rhythm so naturally while others struggle to feel it? Because if I could understand why that was happening, perhaps I can help them understand too. And that got me thinking, maybe this isn't really about music at all. Maybe it's something deeper. If we step back and look at a bigger picture, we arrive at something we call time. The ongoing sequence of events from past through present and into the future. But what is our relationship to time? I suppose we can say minutes and hours passing, things growing, people aging. It's a way we measure and make sense of change. And this comes from something very specific, the motion of our planet in space. A day is one rotation of the Earth on its axis, and a year is one complete revolution around the sun. Everything we call time is built from these cycles, and from there, we organize it into units. But if we remove ourselves from the planet, then suddenly all those divisions begin to lose their meaning. They only make sense from planet Earth. But underneath all those divisions, there's still something continuous, a constant flow, something that keeps moving forward, uninterrupted. And maybe that continuous flow is the closest thing we have to what music experiences as a pulse. Because in music, we also take something continuous and divide it into rhythmic units. But those divisions only make sense because underneath them, there is still a steady pulse. And that pulse becomes our reference point. It anchors us to time. And the more you start to notice that pulse around you, the more you begin to feel it within you. A pulse is not an artificial musical construct. It's already embedded in the body, in nature, in movement, and in everyday life. And maybe the first step toward developing a stronger sense of rhythm is simply learning to notice it. But when that connection isn't there, that's often where the problem begins. People often think rhythm is something you calculate, something you count, something you understand intellectually. And although understanding rhythm theoretically matters, it's when it comes time to actually perform music that something deeper has to happen. Because before you can follow rhythm, you need to feel connected to time itself. And when that connection isn't stable, we lose the beat. Not because we don't understand music, but rather because we are not anchored to time. There's a simple exercise I remember doing years ago when I was a kid. A group of us were asked to close our eyes and silently count 1 minute in our heads. And when we felt 60 seconds had passed, we raised our hands. Some people were early, some were late, and some were surprisingly close. And what this reveals is that our internal sense of time is not always as stable as we think it is. And that's exactly the same challenge when it comes to music. So here's something you can try. Take out your phone, open the stopwatch, and close your eyes. When you're ready, start the stopwatch and begin silently counting 1 minute in your head. Then, when you feel 60 seconds have passed, stop it. Were you early? Late? How far off were you? Or were you spot on? But this exercise isn't really about counting. It's about revealing how stable your internal sense of time really is. Developing a natural sense of rhythm may not be so much about counting beats, but rather learning to feel a steady pulse by noticing it all around us. And maybe this is the key to developing a natural relationship with rhythm.